Slania Corvids, I am Corvus Bruxo and welcome again to my channel. It's been a long time since I don't upload a video, so it was about time. And the other day I was writing an article and I was constantly mentioning the animistic view or the animistic approach. So I saw myself in need to explain what was the animistic approach to me. I decided to write a Spanish article and now I'm making this video to explain what it is to me. By the way, today the wind is on full-on activity, so if you hear blowing winds as background noise, I can't help it, sorry. So first of all, let's define animism. What is animism? Well, according to the Oxford and Cambridge dictionaries, according to Oxford, is the attribution of a living soul to plants, inanimate objects and natural phenomena, and also the belief in a supernatural power that organizes and animates the material universe. But the Cambridge dictionary says that animism is the belief that all natural things, such as plants, animals, rocks, and thunder, have spirits and can influence human events. Animism basically is that, but that definition is like very reduced depending on the belief system, the cultural background, or even the individual. That spirit or that soul can be another thing, or can be an intelligence to the material manifestation itself, or can be a spirit for other things such as lust, such as brotherhood, such as human relationships, or to constructions such as homes or walls, or can be spirits to compounds or to complex things such as amulets. So it's a very complex term, but basically refers to the belief that many other things rather than human beings or living beings have souls. Yeah, all these things can have a soul, an anima, a spirit, an intelligence, basically a consciousness that animates them in spirit or physically. Animism is hence one of the core beliefs of what is called shamanism in anthropology, because if shamanism in anthropology refers to the interaction with spirits by a shaman, then this belief is necessary to have spirits to interact with. You get that, don't you? There are two ways to get the help of spirits. One is to convince them to do so by being very intelligent, or by establishing a pact with them. You have to offer something, offerings, services, an action, maybe art, maybe your blood, or some of your bodily fluids, and this spirit will provide something in exchange, or will provide wisdom. Spirits can also have a personal experience or vital experience that they can share with you. They can reach areas that you can't, hear things that you can't. That's the core. That's the center of the power of the witch in most of the traditional crafts. Sorry. The other way is to subjugate them, to force them, to dominate them, to bind them under your will. But that is something that I don't like. Spirits, this is part of my view of the universe. And to me, spirits are real and conscious, and as any living and conscious being, they appreciate freedom and recognition of existence, I mean, and they appreciate free will. So subjugate them is, to me, basically not even servitude, it is enslavement. So for neutral or ambiguous or even good-hearted, in lack of a better term, spirits or genies or fairies, you know, for those, subjugation, domination, it's not a good action. I won't respect people doing that. So yeah, this is one of my core views as a pagan and as a traditional witch or a folk magician. And this belief, animism, basically shapes the core of both of my spiritual paths. I mean, my belief and worship and devotion to the Ne-Deiuoi, Ne-Deiuoi of the Celtic Iberia, and it also shapes my walking along the crooked path. It also shapes my learning and practice of the traditional craft. So animism is one of the most important things in my belief. And yes, I believe each living being, each plant and each rock and the thunder and the different types of metal and different compounds, they all have a spirit or an anima or a genus or genie or a fairy or a daimon or a demon or what have you. Robin Artisan called them indwellers, and it was a translation from the word to describe these types of spirits from the Inuit people, I believe. And you know, the translation for the words for these spirits was indweller, like indweller of the thunder, indweller of the ice. And yeah, it's a pretty good term too. These spirits, these souls, can be individual to each specimen, or can be a collective one for a whole species, for a whole type, for a whole breed, what have you. It's all different and each case is different. But what I believe about these spirits or these genies is that you have to build a relationship with them. You have to pact with them in exchange for services. You have to provide a respect that you expect to receive in return. And that's my take on animism within the traditional craft. People don't have to share my beliefs, of course. And even if they share it, they don't have to have this approach. But to me, things are material and have a material effect on the material world. And all materials have this, you know, in lack of a better term, this energetic vibration that affects the spiritual world. But then they have the spirit too. And if the spirit isn't helping you or leaning things towards your side, then the achievement of power is incomplete. The animistic view is when I'm referring to tools, ingredients, places, etc. And I'm not referring only to the material and energetic part of it. I'm referring also to the spirits that inhabit or are within it or are linked to it or animates that place or tool or ingredient. That's what I'm referring to. When I refer to the animistic view, I'm referring that I'm dealing with those spirits, or I'm trying to deal with those spirits, or that a huge part of the work that I'm doing also implies dealing with those spirits or those genies, those fairies. So I would like to provide an example of what I mean, and the example is the hearth, you know, or the chimney, or whatever you want to call it, like the fire of home. Basically, in my Facebook page, Nemeton of the Corvus Bruxo, I asked people if they believe that by losing the chimneys or the hearth in many houses in the modern world, we have lost an important part of our contact with familiar spirits, because in many cultures, either pre-Christian or post-Abrahamic cultures and religions and folk traditions, the hearth is a familiar spirit itself. But the thing is that, yeah, well, I didn't refer to the hearth as a familiar spirit before I read Por encima de todas las zarzas, and that's a Spanish blog on Basque Pyrenean traditional craft by a Sogin that goes by the name of Mary Bramble. If you understand Spanish, I absolutely recommend you her blog, and I will put the link in the description box so you can check it, okay? And yeah, basically Mary Bramble writes about her knowledge and experience as a Sogin, as a Basque witch. She's moved back to the Basque country in order to be in full contact with the genius and numens of the Basque country, of the Basque region. You know, landscape is important for the traditional witch, and she's wonderful. She referred to the hearth as a familiar spirit, and I thought that it was so appropriate that I basically coined the term for the hearth. Before that, I just called it a spirit or an elemental or something like that. The Soginiac will have, each of them, their own mythology, their own vision or view that I can share or not, because I'm not a Sogin myself. My vision on the hearth is that you have fire. A fire have a physical, material set of attributes. You know, it provides heat, it can light up a space surrounding it, you can provoke pain by burning, you have a capacity of combustion, etc. On an energetic level, to the flames themselves and the surrounding areas where the heat of the flames reach, you scare away basic dark spirits and fairies and genies. You protect that surrounding area, kind of provide a fertilizing energy, you kind of provide a protecting energy, a healing energy, but all that is in your surrounding area. So the hearth, that is supposed to refer to the whole household. If you want the fire to give all that energy to the whole house, you would need to light up different fires or take those flames to all of the house regularly. It will leave ashes, and those ashes will be useless unless you bless them yourself, or unless they're ashes in a special day like St. John's Eve. And that's it. That's all the fire can do. And as a witch, you can work with that too. I'm not against that, but I feel that as an incomplete work. So in my opinion, when you have a fire, you have a fire that is basically consciousless and animated in terms of spirit. If it touches the wrong thing, it will burn down the house. The fire will provide the heat according to the types of wood, the amount of wood that you feed it with, etc. It will scare away basic dark spirits that are scared of fire and nothing less. But if we keep a pact with the spirit of the heart or of the chimney, we can get so much more. Then we would have, you know, if you have to define it, it would be a household familiar spirit of fire. And what's the difference with a regular fire? Well, the same as any familiar spirit that can provide you with different things and skills, it would do the same. It would be a spirit looking after the household his or she's or it's residing in. The spirit would try that the fire doesn't burn anything. The spirit would try that the heat provided by the fire is according to the comfort of everyone in the house, not to just the material conditions, as the spirit would actively try to protect the people living in that household from dark spirits, genies and fairies, from bad earth, as our grandmother said, to evil spirits, the bad earth. But not only to the surrounding area of the fire, that protection would be extended to the whole household because the spirit resides in the household. The people wanting to practice divination in the fire wouldn't need to do complex rituals, because that familiar spirit, the hearth familiar spirit, would aid them in the purpose. Things like that. That's what you get when you have the spirit and not only the fire. And I think it's worth what you have to do in exchange. In this case, I mean, each spirit demands something different. You can have an explicit pact and personal pact that you establish with the hearth spirit, and that's personal, different to every household, or depending on your tradition, culture, etc. You can just fulfill a pactum tacitum. That's a tacit pact established in tradition and folklore. And yeah, it can vary from tradition to tradition, but you know, it refers to in which special holidays the hearth should be lit, for how long can it be lit, or can it be not lit, what types of wood you feed it with, some types of herbs or other elements or materials that you have to feed it with, some rituals that you have to perform on them on special days or every certain time, stuff like that. And this spirit will provide protection to the whole household, would actively fight against mischievous spirits, would without any ritual, without having to be close, would provide all the fertility and healing and divination that you need. The ashes would be blessed by default, not only if it's a special day, you know, a special holiday, or you wouldn't have to bless them yourself actively every time that you collect ashes. I think it's a pretty fair pact. I think it's a pretty fair relationship, and to me it compensates the work, the extra work. It's a pretty fair treat. And even if it wouldn't, it's my vision of the world, it's my cosmovision, it's my view of the world and of the universe. So since spirits like recognition of their existence too, like everyone else in the universe, I would do it anyway. So yeah, that's the example of the hearth familiar spirits, and this is the animistic view that I always refer to. Please tell me what you think in the comments down below. Like if you liked the video or my view, dislike if not, subscribe to keep updated. If you deem this video worthy, share with your friends or people that you think may be interested on the topic. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Ne-Deiuoi, Ne-Deiuoi, watch over you all, and Slania. And yeah, I'm going back to the Slania thing. Deiuoi today is very long for a farewell.